And Megan, I think you recognize the photo as the start of our class.
Yes.
He's going to tell you about it sooner, but this is kind of a sneak in. Now that we've got the better half or part of the half, it depends who you're talking to, of the cutters here, you're going to get an explanation of those two photos. Megan and Barton are some of my favorite people. They're the model of courageous, pay it forward people. So when they ask for a favor that's not often, people are ready to move. Megan, I say, when you leave the house and Barton leaves the house, you leave with a team of great people ready to help and share. This is fundamental to long-term success in business. Over to you, Megan, to tell the story of raising money.
Yes, thanks so much for having me, Martin. I just wanted to spend a few minutes sharing our story. As you can see from that introduction photograph, Barton and I are an interability couple. So when we go out of the house, Barton's usually in a wheelchair. And when we didn't have accessible transportation, it was typically in a manual wheelchair. And there was a lot of impact from that. We knew that in order to succeed in where we wanted to go and to be more independent in the community, that we would need an accessible van in order to travel, in order to get places, and for Barton to have his motor wheelchair for independence. We knew how much this impacted us. We found out about a contest. We applied, Barton made the semi-finalists, and we didn't win. So what do you do with that when it doesn't work out the way you want it to? We wanted to, and let me just spend a minute talking about the contest. We thought that once we applied for the contest, that it would be really easy. We'd vote a day and we'd win in. And it didn't quite work out that way. It required for us to be engaging with the community. We needed to ask family members to send emails out to all of their contacts to ask them to vote for us as well. We sent daily email reminders with answers to a quiz that was included in that voting contest. So there was a lot of engagement along the way. So we were devastated when we didn't win. We needed to funnel that energy that was created into a different avenue. So we began a GoFundMe campaign. There are lots of different campaigns out there for different reasons. We chose GoFundMe because it would allow for us to receive the funds no matter what happened, where we ended up on the scale of the amount that we received. When we started the campaign, we spent a lot of time looking at what was the story that we created and how could we communicate that story to the community. So again, we looked at engaging the community. So for every $50 that we received, we donated an hour of our time to volunteer in different organizations in the community. There were 3 different organizations that we chose at that time. We also looked at the images. What image would convey the impact that we had because we couldn't get accessible transportation? So obviously the picture that Barton going into the Honda, which is the car that we had at the time, that is a striking image that really sets the tone off. It was something unique, it was catchy, and when do you see somebody with a motor wheelchair trying to get into the trunk? So we did a series of those, and we used Facebook, we used different social media channels. At that time, it was primarily Facebook. Now there are many others. And we would keep everyone updated. So we would send weekly updates along the way about where we were. We had a couple of funny pictures with us trying to fit everything into a car. We spent a lot of time working with the community, so allowing an active engagement. We spent time creating the story, both in narrative form, whether it was an email or a GoFundMe update. And we looked at the visual components, what images really conveyed that message. So obviously you'll see here, Barton, we in a very serendipitous way, we were able to find a van, and it was the exact amount of funding that we had received from the GoFundMe campaign. Now, they don't make this van anymore, but I can tell you this van has already proved to really, for our safety and security, we feel so much better being out on the road. So when you're looking at different ways to receive money or different campaigns to send out, look at the story that might be really unique in your case, different aspects of communication and engagement with the community.
To me, the piece of it is there was a background, a relationship, and a commitment to the community that you already had. I want to acknowledge, because I've known you a long time. So, and if someone doesn't have it, today's a good day to start. And that was the beginning piece. The second thing was, it wasn't just that you're a mixed couple with, Barton and a wheel. It was also the commitment of sharing enough of your life so that there was something that people could feel they'd be part of. Barton's not with us now, but if you ever meet him, he's also a walking contribution in everything he does. And so that's the second piece. Then you did a little, I would almost call it kind of mild humor or deprecating humor, but not bad or not taking advantage. I want to show that was done sensitively, and I'm sure someone goes, what are you doing to that poor guy? Hair got curved. And then they'd find out and they'll go, wait a second, I'm not torturing my husband. This is to get your attention. So I want to talk about, there's a little bit of an edge to that. And then the first failure, you kept going. And Dan and I have seen the people who succeed often are trying multiple income streams. They're trying multiple places. They get multiple failures, but sometimes people are watching. And didn't the people with the van, they saw some of what was going on and met you kind of a part way. Would you talk a little bit about that? Because if you hadn't had the failures and inactivity, there wouldn't be the story for someone else to be inspired.
Yes. So the way that we got the van was as fascinating as the journey of the community and the funding that we purchased it with. At that time, we were traveling around, we were speaking and promoting a book that we had just released called Ink and the Wheels, Stories to Make Love Roll. And we knew that traveling was a part of that. So one of the rental companies that we had worked with for Accessible Van, they were interested in helping us out with that. And we also took a little bit of a diversion. We had friends on Facebook that were kind of weighing in. We were looking at the type of van that we needed and where we were. You spend a lot of time going over those decisions. And they were like, wait a second, there's this new company. They just came back and are starting reproduction on these vehicles. We called around. We found a place in Florida that they had a demo van available that week. They had just gotten it in. It was very low mileage and it was the perfect fit for what we needed. So we set everything up in 1 week. We had purchased this van. It was overnight. And then we sent information about our book because this was just so amazing, this journey. It was so unexpected. It had been such a hard journey that had lasted years, really. And it really impacted and changed our lives to be more independent, not only just for Barton, but for us as a couple. So we wrote the manufacturer of the van, AM General, and they brought us in to speak to the guys that were on the floor, the men and women who were putting the vehicles together. And we were able to share our story and give gratitude for the work that they did on the floor in creating the vehicle itself. So that, journey just from beginning to end. All along the way, it required us to share pieces of ourselves that we might not normally share with everyone, and to get out there and be public with it. And it's okay to ask your family or your friends to be a part of that journey with you, and you never know who you will impact along the way.
There's a few more things I want to footnote here, and people saw contributing to you as getting a story out of possibility they wanted in the world. And that's an important piece. And I don't know that you might have known that in the moment, but I knew that watching from the outside. You see, it wasn't just helping the cutters. It wasn't just, oh, they're nice people. It's just, oh my gosh, who else in the world might have some challenges and might be courageously working together and want something like this, and that combination of the story along with it. And that's so key to get whatever story you have and start building it out along the way.
Yeah, I think Megan nailed it. She did the classical thing of what I call the 3 Ps. You got to start with your purpose, your passion, and last but not least, your perseverance. And they used all 3 ingredients, and the third one being the most important, because you don't score a home run first time at bat. So you have to go back up and back up and back up until you get to your final objective. So kudos to you, Megan. You and your hubby, y'all did a great job there. Love your story and love seeing what you do, and you continue to impact people. So thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you so much. It's great to be able to share this story with everyone.
Heck yeah.
One more thing I want to add with this, and that's, Megan, did you have any detractors or people critical of it? Because this is something else that happens in most cases, like we had a case of saving a cat from a fire, and people that loved it and funded, but others said you should have euthanized the cat. So, would you talk about that? Because that's personal when you hear it, and you're kind of building up that strength to keep going by getting knocked down and coming back.
Certainly. I do think there were a couple of times where we had people who either thought that we asked too much. And the other thing is, Barton and I are really independent. We don't like asking for help. Is the worst thing in the world to ask for help for us. And we knew that we couldn't overcome this challenge alone. So in some ways, we had to get over our own critiques, of being down on ourselves, that we needed to look at different avenues or different ways to make this successful. And then, yes, there were a couple of critics along the way in terms of, were we asking for too much? Should we have been doing this ourselves, or did we really need transportation? The other thing that we thought about within the contest aspect is, many people would go promote the contest as a woe of me, oh, life is so horrible. We need the van most because we're in such dire straits. And every single person who applied for that contest needed the van no less or no more than the other person. It's just that, some people had different ways of showing that. And Barton and I were very strategic that we did not necessarily want the messaging to be that we were so downtrodden. It was the worst thing in the world. It's so horrible. Life is so horrible. We wanted to really be authentic about who we were, that we were positive people. In some ways, we were able to be successful in many different aspects of our lives, just not that particular one. So that, speaking to that perseverance, as well as having the right mindset along the way, is definitely key.
Outstanding. Well, Megan, let people know how they can reach you, because I do coaching, your husband does coaching, you do too, and there's enough room in the whole world for all of us. So do let them know, because you were kind enough to give your time and come to this class.
Thanks so much. Well, Barton Barton Cutter is on LinkedIn as well. And I am on LinkedIn as well. Barton has a website, bartoncutter.com. And we have our work website, which is cuttersedgeconsulting.com.
Cool.
So all our information can be found on LinkedIn or our website.
You'll find when we go over the other that almost every aspect of success is hidden in this story. Well, this is excellent. We're going to go ahead and move forward. And Megan, I know you have a lot to do, so I'm going to, if you want to join us, you're welcome to, but I also want to make it easy for you to, step out if you need to.
Thanks so much. I hope everybody has a great rest of the class.